the Middle East. So
Yeah.
we've discussed this before that none of us believe that this Trump's peace deal, first of all, Israel would never follow it, right? The,
No, of
the,
course
the
not.
bombing continues. And almost like immediately after Trump presented this 20 points plan, Netanyahu went back to Israel, and on one of the interviews, he openly said the IDF is not going to pull out.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. He said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do we go from there? Do you think Trump is a little bit frustrated now, or where do we go from here?
Well, the word always is that he's frustrated and he's angry, and we get all of these rumors about quarrels between Netanyahu and Trump and all of the rest. But in
Uh-huh.
the end, he always ends up doing what the Israelis ask him to. I mean,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
never comes out against Israel. And on Gaza, all of his public statements have been directed at Hamas. I mean,
Yeah.
they are the people
Mhm.
who are to blame, even though they're releasing hostages and doing all of the main things that they were asked to do. But it is they who are at fault and who must be attacked. And by the way, in this one thing, Trump is identical to every other US president that I can remember, going all the way back to the 1960s. Whenever these problems arise, always it is the Arab side that is to blame,
Mhm.
even when it's obviously the Israelis who are at fault.
And then in terms of Greta Thunberg, lots of netizens discuss that because um, most Chinese people didn't like her when she was championing for this climate change thing. But on this matter, she was brave, so lots of people supported her. But what's interesting is like 6 years ago, Obama invited her for an interview. This
Yeah.
time, when she's arrested, nothing. You don't hear
Well,
anything.
I mean, you put it exactly, because as her popularity and respect for her is increasing in China,
Yeah.
and the West is going in exactly the opposite direction. It's amazing. I'm glad to hear, by the way, that netizens and people in China have been talking about this incident, which is outrageous, by the way. I
Mhm.
mean, because
Yeah.
as I understand it, that convoy was intercepted on the high seas, and all of
Yeah.
those people were arrested, even though they'd committed no crime, and detained, even though they'd committed no crime. It's been barely reported
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And given that Greta Thunberg was, for many, many years going back, one of the most important public figures in the West, because he said Obama used to meet her people used to hang
Mhm.
on her every word and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she's now been unpersoned tells you so much about the Western world today.
And then they were arrested in the international water, right? It's not
Yeah,
the Israeli or,
exactly.
yeah. And the US is the one who always like to talk about the freedom of navigation.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Whenever they criticize China, they talk a lot about the freedom of navigation. But on this one, not a word. So,
They talk about freedom of navigation all the time, and you saw how furious the Americans were when France seized a ship, an oil tanker steaming from Russia under the flag of Benin, with a Chinese captain, by the way, and
right.
probably delivering oil to
Mhm.
China. How angry the United States was when that ship was seized on the high seas on
Yeah.
the flimsiest of pretexts. They said absolutely nothing about it at all.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean,
so
this freedom of navigation is nonsense, and everybody knows that it is.
yeah, it's all based on the situation, right? Whatever.
It's, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Of course, China seizes ships on the high seas every day.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, actually, being serious, I cannot remember a single instance
Hmm.
over the last 30 plus years when China has seized a ship on the high seas. An ordinary merchant ship
Yeah.
traveling from one place to another, with a cargo of oil or whatever. I mean, I don't remember China ever doing anything like that, or seizing ships which are delivering food aid to a crisis or war zone. I mean, China never does that on the high seas in international waters. But of course, it is the great threat
Right.
to navigation. The United States and its friends protect it.
Okay, before we go, just something entertaining. Maybe not that entertaining, but so Canada has an amusement park called Marine
Mm,
Land. Okay,
right.
it's located in Ontario.
Right.
It has 35 beluga whales.
Oh, right.
And so they had 35, and then after the pandemic, I mean during the pandemic they had some economic crisis there, and so after
Mm,
that it didn't really fully recover. So they
no.
sold the five of them to US. The three of them died very quickly. So once that is clear that those things are not very easy, to keep, so all the other
Mm,
amusement parks or aquariums, they no longer interested in buying from them.
yeah.
But now they're running out of money, so they wanted to, find some solution. And there's one amusement park in China said we can buy them, all 30 of them, we can buy them. And some environmentalists, some animal lovers said no, it's inhumane to have them in captivity and for public amusement. Well,
Mm,
that's what's going on right now. But hey,
yeah.
you're doing that in China. That's not, you know, that's very
Mm,
inhumane. So the result of that, the fishery ministry, they just put a stop to this sale. And well, then the amusement park said, well, then we need money, right? It costs like $2 million just to feed these things, every month.
mm.
And then the fishery department said, no, we don't have money for that either. So now, now the amusement park said they have 30 days until end of this month, basically. If there is no solution, they're going to euthanize all these
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
beluga
Exactly.
whales.
Ex-
The whole thing is just incredible that these animals, the
yeah.
so-called animal lovers,
Yeah.
essentially
I,
probably kill them.
well, absolutely, exactly. I mean, exactly. I mean, where were they, by the way, when this Canadian amusement park was active and busy with these
Yeah.
whales anyway? So, I mean, but no, absolutely. But you've the case highlights two things. Again, the way in which ultimately these people are not really interested in animals and the welfare of animals. I mean, this isn't part of it. And again, this morbid hostility to China that is always there, that corrupts everything.
Mhm.
From the state of the stock market to what the environmentalists do. I mean, going back to Greta Thunberg, I mean, if she was
Yeah.
talking about Xinjiang,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
even if what she said was total fiction,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
we'd be building statues to her.
Yeah.
But when she actually objects to an actual genocide,
Mhm.
but conducted by one of our friends, she becomes a non-person.
Yeah. I
No,
mean, in terms of these whales, the Chinese
yeah.
netizens pretty much just said, we don't want them because even if they come to China, the 30 of them, if anything happens, you can wait to all the criticism, divert to China, blame
Oh
everything.
no,
Even though three of the five already died in the US, there is no
yes.
criticism for the US,
No, no,
for
exactly.
mistreatment or anything.
Well, exactly, exactly. I mean, you're quite right. I mean, it would just be another stick to beat China with. I mean, by the way, on the subject of environmentalism,
Hmm.
I mean, again, which country has cleaned up its cities
Yeah.
most? I mean, over the last, which country is most active in developing the green transition, electric vehicles, and all of
Hmm.
that? Um, does it get any credit
Yeah.
for doing so? No. Do environmentalists come along and say, no, no, no? We should follow China's example. No, they don't do that. Absolutely not. And which country, by the way, and speaking again, as somebody who takes an interest in Chinese art and culture, which country has the longest tradition of interest in nature?
Yeah.
Go to any Chinese art gallery, look at the paintings
Hmm.
of the Sung Dynasty and before, look at the landscape art, read the poems, familiarize yourself with the Tao Te Ching.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which other culture has been as close to nature and is interested and caring about nature and influenced by nature as China? You won't find one.
Hmm. Yeah,
just to
China
say,
is very big
oh,
on like
yeah,
nature and human kind of live in harmony.
absolutely,
That's a big part of
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is a very, very much an intrinsic part of
Mm,
the culture of the Chinese people. But
yes.
no, if we send beluga whales to a Chinese park, well, we know what terrible things will be done to them there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again, the great problem that China has is that it's it is there's so much said about it that is wrong and
Mm.
distorted and is driven by Western prejudices and Western assumptions of superiority that it must be very difficult for Chinese people to cope with, to be honest. I'm surprised they
Yes.
cope with it as well as they do, if
Yes,
I have to be honest.
yes, but I think China probably is more and more confident now that people pay less and less. It's almost like
Yes,
on this matter, it's almost like
yes,
comical.
yeah,
So you'd rather these 30 beluga whales to die
yeah,
rather
yeah.
than get, I mean, it's just hysterical.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
crazy,
Well, it is. It
right?
is. It is. It is. In the West, we are living through an extreme period of hysteria.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a book by a very famous American lawyer called Jonathan Turley, which
Uh-huh.
talks about living in the age of rage.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I said, this book is mistitled because we're not living through the age of rage. We are living through the age of hysteria. And this is
Yeah.
what in the West we have become.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we will see if in 30 days what happens to these whales. It would be
Mm.
utterly ironic if they ended up euthanize them. I just find this
Oh,
incredible.
they will. That is probably what will happen. And you know something
Yeah.
else, Sophia? You won't find much coverage of the story when it
No.
happens.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I know you have other things, so I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Indeed, and look forward to speaking again next week.
Yes,
I'll be here.
definitely.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.